Hello, everyone, and welcome to Seaview Quantum Network. I'm your presenter, Daniel, and I'm here with producer Claudia Pareca. We are cosmic beings, beings of light. A single moment of your time is one of the most extraordinary gifts we could ever be given. We are honored every time that we receive one of those moments. We are honored, overjoyed, privileged, and humbled. We serve in your presence. Our shows are held on Mondays and Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern U.S. time, 9 a.m. Pacific. At any moment, to participate on one of our shows, please call 805-830-8344 and press 1 to talk with the host. All podcasts are easily found in all social media and are available free, live, or on demand. To request a show, please write to Claudia Pareco, cview1111@gmail.com, or visit our website, cview1111.net.
Call for free at 805-830-8344 and wait in line or use Take My Call. And for $11, you can jump the long list of callers. Do so at www.paypal.me/PURECO/11 and then please PM or email Claudia Pareco with the phone number you'll call the show at cview1111@gmail.com.
Now, let's listen to our host and topic of the day.
Thank you, Danny, and welcome everybody to CView 2021. Today's topic, Stay True to Your Path, with Sai and Ivy Long from Olde Magick Ways. Also, we are having guests Kayla and Colleen here with us. And remember, to follow your path, you have to stay true to yourself. Staying true to yourself is the only way to navigate your life and your choices. The next gathering at Olde Magick Ways in Polly Island, it's going to be in Tuesday, August 10 from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Then, right after this gathering, you can join the Facebook Live event after the gathering, where the topic continues for the enjoyment of everyone that wants to listen. Krishna said, "It is better to follow your own path imperfectly than to live an imitation of someone else's life with perfection." And with that, let's bring our host here today. Hi, Sai, Ivy, and all the guests that are gathering there. Welcome to CView.
Hi, Claudia. How are you today? It's always great to be a part of this.
Yes.
All of us here sitting at the table, this has been a conversation we've probably had over the last month many different times. And that's the one thing we love about being a part of this podcast is it's not just coming up with a topic and that's the topic we're going to talk about. It's really about what is going on also in our lives at the same time and throughout our journey. So when we're doing this podcast, we really enjoy the ability to maybe, if something resonates for someone, to help them to kind of spark in their own path. So we're really excited about this. So today we have Kala and Colleen both visiting with us. So they are a part of this with Sai and I. Hey, ladies.
Hello.
How
are you guys?
It's always good to have y'all here. The energy just has been so exciting in the shop today, just with all of the hustle and bustle. And Kala, your daughter's out there working the shop, so we could have you back here. When people ask you, because we get asked a lot of times, What path do you take? How do you answer?
I'm a big bowl of jambalaya. That's what I am. I have a Christian foundation, but as I've grown, as I've become an adult, as I've gotten of age, the influences of Catholicism, Judaism, paganism, Wiccan has all been tossed in that bowl, all mixed up, just to make who I am.
Well, and you're a Reiki master teacher as well, which is coming from the Eastern philosophy.
Right.
So how about with you, Colleen?
I feel like the same thing. The older I get, all of these things are just kind of coming to play, and they all are making sense together anymore. But I also look at things, when things start getting too tight, too rough, that's how I know I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
Because that's what you have to follow. And if you walk away from it too quickly, you're giving up on the end of it, the light at the end of the tunnel. So every time things get a little too short, too tight, can't breathe, I know, I got to just take that deep breath and take the next step forward. Don't go backwards, go forward. And it always ends up working out. And then finding that big picture after it and say, I'm so glad I tightened up and tucked it out.
Sai and I really, when we opened Olde Magick Ways, and Kala, you were a part of it from the beginning, we really wanted a place that was all faiths and traditions. And part of the reason why was, heck, I didn't even know who I was, and I was trying to figure that out. I knew at that point I was goddess-based, but God has brought me back to God. And so now people will ask, what path do you take? I take Ivyism path. Only I can take it. I'm a little Hindu, a little Buddhist, a little Christian, a little Wiccan, but I'm a lot of it spiritual. But by sharing, we hope to ignite a spark in somebody else for them to find theirs. And one of the things I actually love, and that, there's a few things that I really, truly try to brag about, but this is one of them is, when we're working with a client, we'll straight out say, if what we're sharing doesn't resonate with you, throw it away or put it in a book for another day. We're talking to you based on our individual experiences. And I think that's the piece of it that's interesting. But I also will say it's constantly evolving.
Yes.
And the signs and symbols are everywhere. Even when she talks about Krishna right now, that's kind of where I'm going down. All of a sudden, the last 3-4 weeks, there's been a big Hindu push for me. And then all of a sudden, there's your sign. It's about following the sign.
And then it makes everything make sense.
So what happens when, and I think every one of us, especially when we're walking a spiritual path, those who know us and love us for who we are really, truly do accept that. But we do oftentimes get criticized for our beliefs. Mm-hmm. How do you all each handle that?
Lately, the block button has come in handy.
Yeah, I agree. But speaking of that, why do we feel like we need to keep people who are not at our vibration or who are putting us down into that space? Why do we think we don't need to? Why do we feel like we have to keep them on those social media platforms?
I don't. I have concluded I don't. It's just, I don't want to lower myself down to their level.
Exactly.
And I want to stay true to me. And you have to accept me for all that I am or not at all.
And anybody trying or giving you difficulty about it, obviously their mind isn't open enough to understand or to see or to even just say, okay, I might not agree with that, but I will listen to you.
Right.
And I'll accept you for that. So
there is and that's what I do, like here at the store. There are subjects that, I might not necessarily agree with or follow, but I still want to learn about it.
Sure.
And tuck it away back in my head. So for the next person, it might be appealing to them.
Or it might be a message to somebody else.
Exactly.
You got to look at all different aspects of life. Whenever you got someone that is criticizing you for your belief, how strong are they in theirs?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of time you'll get an argumentative person that only wants to see one side and everything else is wrong.
Right.
But what I do personally in the evenings, I kind of self-reflect. Whenever I hear a conversation, and I'll replay that conversation 2 or 3 times in my head, and I'll think to myself, am I better today than I was yesterday? Where was I at 5 years ago, 10 years ago? My belief and the way I perceive things changed throughout traumas, throughout victories. You go through life, and if you bump here, you know to kind of dodge that one. But at the end of the day, you're the one that's got to live with yourself. Yeah. You've got to stand firm in your beliefs and feel that you're doing the best thing for you, your family, your community. And then after that, everything else is up for debate, because you'll have different people that'll come in and criticize you. Oh, you're doing this wrong, or you believe this, or that is wrong. But they're only going by another text. Everything is text right now. You go by what you feel on the inside. I feel as God, Goddess, whoever connects to individuals through their being. My job is totally different than your job or Kayla's job or whoever's job. Each one of us play a significant role in society, in spirituality, and in humanity. And if one of us break down, it's the other one's job to lift us up, to bring us back. Because if we're all 4 of us sitting on a cliff, and we need to get to the next level of the cliff, we're just going to stand there and look until somebody rises above and then can put the hand out to lift everyone up to our same level. If you don't do your part and you're criticizing and critiquing people, where are you really at spiritually? What level are you on?
Where are you making anything better by doing that?
But I think that becomes, you have a couple of reasons that people are doing that. One is fear-based. Fear is going to be 99% the problem. That's why I'm wearing my Faith Over Fear Today shirt. But it is fear. We're always afraid of what we don't know, regardless. And if your path, I remember even stepping into this, I was like, oh, no. There were some paths I didn't even want to talk about or learn about. But it was really sad that put this into my brain, and I share this with people. In order to speak someone's language, you have to learn about it. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that's your path. But why would you not want to learn? What is it you're always telling the boys, our children at home? Nobody can take knowledge away from you.
Yeah, I can take anything else away from you. I can take your shoes. I can take this. I can take that. But the knowledge you learn will make you get it back twice as fast.
But here's where we can say this here, but every single one of us sitting at this table has a problem when somebody you either look up to, you respect, you love, you admire, and they criticize you or put you down for your belief. And all of a sudden, that firm foundation we thought we had, it becomes a little bit unsteady.
Right? Your heart breaks.
It is.
It's heartbreaking.
Especially then, not only are you having to deal with that quote-unquote rejection, okay, but then we start questioning ourselves. Am I doing the right thing? Am I in the wrong space?
See, but you got to remember, you're talking about how the one that you love, care about, look up to, starts criticizing you for that. If you would take your finger and point your finger at somebody, and now you look at your hands, it goes back to the old saying, I'm pointing one at you, but there's 3 pointing back at me. They're not, I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say.
It goes back to exactly that. It's, again, a fear-based thing.
My thing on that, though, is it starts out as a fear thing, and the more you go through it, I think you build a strength to it because you feel if you have the nerve, I guess is the word, that you are going to say things or look at me in a way, well, then I have the right to then say it to you or explain to you that.
There's also a fine line, though. You as my friend and my sister, if you're going down a really wayward place and I see you going, there is that fine line between criticizing and reaching a hand out to help.
Right. There's a huge line with that because there is a difference. There's a difference between being hateful and loving somebody.
Despite the differences.
Yes.
Well, we've seen that in our own shop.
We've seen that in our own home.
Yes.
I think every one of us goes through it at some point in time or another. In our community, in our tribe, but that's where death and rebirth comes in. Denise Wilson, she's part of our community here, and she said something, and I love how she put this one time. You can't fit more clothes in your closet unless you take something out. Right. Death and rebirth, that is how she described it, and I love that because that's true. Sometimes it goes back to people are in our life for a reason, season, or our lifetime. Okay, but this, is it a test to see how strong your faith is? Is that the reason why? Is it because you were to grow from something, or does it really not even matter why? It's just that it is.
Or is it being comfortable and being able to take that step to the change?
Because that's always the uncomfortable place.
Scary part, change. There's that, this is going to either be positive or negative, and if I take this step, I'm going to lose somebody. Am I willing to lose somebody? Am I willing to keep going? Is it, so I feel like that's a big thing also. I am not a fan of change until I see that change has worked.
And it's a good thing.
Yes.
It's going to be a good thing.
That goes back to what I was saying that nighttime whenever you're sitting back and you're self-reflecting. You've got to see what is best for you as an individual and your family and then your community and all that. But if you're not happy with yourself, nobody else can be happy with you. But what was they saying? If you don't love yourself, no one else can. How do you expect somebody else to love you?
And, the one thing that I've said, and I just said this to our youngest son recently, the great part about it, we can believe one thing today, and we can change our minds tomorrow.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel comfortable because ultimately, spiritually, our soul yearns for a connection with the divine, right? And if we're not following our authentic path, the way that we feel we are being guided, then we are not being true to our soul on that. And it's even Sai and I. We have different paths, but we learn from one another. And then I'll be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I might put that into my cachet of stuff. It's still, I will say this, as much as we try to, it is hard when you have opinions. Now, for me, I'm in the shop. Sai and I have this shop, and I get to be the weird one, quote unquote. You know what I mean? I don't care. And I will say, Kala, I think you kind of joined that rank too. You're not. And Colleen, you've been there the whole time. But we really, I think when we come to our being the practitioners, doing Reiki as you and Sai do, doing intuitive work like we do, we're used to that. But it's when you step outside of your comfort zone, outside of my house, outside of our business, that whole thing of what other people think of you is none of your business is really, really true, but it can be really hard, and going to find the root cause of where that hard side comes in. Is it because we were criticized as kids?
Right.
Is it because we didn't have that voice? I always challenge everybody else, and I'm glad that they challenged me back because I don't know if I'd do it myself, noticing it. But what is really that makes us upset if somebody criticizes us? Is it our feelings are hurt? Well, why are our feelings hurt? Just
or
because
is it from where it came from?
Or is it from way back when and it's very remnant
Triggering.
of some, trigger? Is it a trigger response? Mm-hmm. But either way, how do you move past that, especially when, again, it's somebody that you respect or somebody in your family? Because I can tell you, Si and I, our families are very, very supportive of us, our parents. But at first they were a little wondering what we were doing. Like we were a little crazy. But I will tell you, they're some of our biggest supporters now. So how do you get past that? How do you work through that?
I think it definitely takes time, and each situation is different. Each person, depending on where it's coming from, is handled differently. I know for me, coming from my background, I mean, I was indoctrinated, is that the word, into the church. You know, my whole youth was in a Pentecostal church. And it wasn't until, in my 30s, late 30s, when I started questioning, there has to be more. And it was when I started wavering off of that path, that Christian path, is when people started shunning me and looking down at me like I was doing something wrong. But it was in my heart. Everything was telling me, God was telling me that I am doing right.
Intuition.
But these outside sources were telling me that I'm wrong in what I'm doing, what I believe in. And again, each situation, you have to deal with it differently. When it's family, okay, they either accept me or not. If they don't, I respectfully, they are there and I am here. And
you can
right. If it's associates, that I can just hit delete, block, ban. You know,
I have to love and respect somebody to even give it a thought.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, it's not even worth my time to understand. I just look at them as being closed-minded or ignorant, and you just don't get it. And I don't have the time or the patience to try to explain it.
And sometimes those people that are criticizing, their whole purpose for being in there,
they're afraid of their own change and their own stuff.
But sometimes their thing is to push us so we do go to the next phase. And that's that whole purpose of it. You know, and then again, one of the things that I love, you know, is really being able, it's great, again, when everything is going good. You've got your tribe right here, the four of us plus Bobby out there. It's fabulous. The energy is great. But we have to be careful not to give our power away to people, too. And I think that's that hard, most of us on this path, we want to help. We want to help as much as we can. Well, then we're over-helping and we're not taking care of ourselves.
I think that's experience in the charity also. I think the older we get, we realize there's nobody worth more than me.
I'm still working on that. How about you? No, not you.
I mean, and from experience, though, yourself, everybody has to like me. Everybody has to, you know, because if they don't, I can't do that. And then you reach out, and the more you get burned, and it puts you back to that, I'm not doing this anymore because I've sacrificed myself, my being, my soul, my mind, my everything, physically, for other people who don't care or appreciate it.
So I have a little bit of a difference of philosophy, and that's the one thing I love about groups coming together. So mine is, and I'm going to use Sai, okay? And this is hypothetical. If he's sick and I take care of him a certain way, I'm doing that because I'm choosing to take care of him. I'm not doing that because I'm expecting something in return. So I have to be very careful. For me, I have to look at, why am I upset with this person? Is it because they're not giving back to me when I gave to them? Well, that wasn't the whole reason I gave to them to begin with. So that's on me, and I own that. But I have learned to put boundaries up. meaning, okay, this is my family time, this is my shop time, this is, and because, again, it's like flying in an airplane. If you're not, when the oxygen masks come down, you don't place yours on first, going to. You have to make sure you're taking care of you. And I, like you, Calla, it was in my 30s, my mid to late 30s, when all of a sudden my world just went kaboom. And now the difference between you and I had a Christian upbringing, but I had something that happened as a child where I was just kind of anti that direction. I tried to smile and be there and show up like I was supposed to, but I got to a point finally where I was just like, I didn't have that faith. And it was almost as if people that were in my life, even from a distance, they were more accepting of me having no faith than they were of having a faith that was different. And that was a really hard thing for me. And I would think I was crazy, and I would look at Si and be like, I feel like I still do it. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I feel like I'm going crazy. And he'll look at me and say, yes, and great things are about to happen, honey. Keep following your path. And it's making sure you have those people around you. And they may change in and out.
We're also not all meant to be the same.
No. How fun would that be?
So, appreciating people that are different is something that you need to. Not a lot of people understand the concept of either. So,
we're looking at Si to see if Si has any words of wisdom here.
Well, when you look at a team, even back in the fire department, your team, you're only as strong as your weakest link, going back to what you said. But if everybody had the same specialty, you wouldn't be a strong team. You need a well-rounded one. And as humans, we're still animals. We still have kind of a pack instinct. We want to be accepted and acknowledged and liked by others.
Part of something.
Part of something.
And
but yet want to be our own.
But that's why you have groups. That's why you try to surround yourself with like-minded individuals. That's not running away from the world. That's building your knowledge base. So when you do get questioned, my biggest thing, kind of like Callie was talking about with Pentecostal, was I had questions. And the answers to all the questions I asked, you have to have faith, you have to believe, and don't speak of that because that's blasphemy. But it's actual questions that I had because I play a scenario in my head and the evidence is not lining up to complete the story. So when I try to get more facts on it, you can't talk about that. Well, why not? If your religion or your belief is strong enough that you're going to send me to a certain destination, or you're going to destine me to hell, why can't you give me the knowledge that I seek to make me the better person, the stronger person, so I can understand the whole concept? That's where I fell into this kind of path, because I'm pulling from what I can understand and grasp and believe that makes me a better person. I don't care what you were yesterday. I care about what's sitting in front of me today. And then what are we going to be tomorrow?
Absolutely.
Well, I think the hard part, too, is trying not to match someone's negative energy.
And bring yourself to their position.
Sometimes I feel like I have that mental strength where I'm not going to bring myself to that. And other times, not only am I going to take it to your level, but I'm going to get even dirtier.
And then what are you doing for yourself?
Exactly. I don't know. You feel good for the moment, but
there goes the difference between having power and being empowered. Power is the quick fix. When you have power over somebody, it's like the Band-Aid. But when you empower, it's within, which means you're rising. So it's that same concept.
See, but I get a greater satisfaction out of asking certain questions to get people's minds going. And and what you're doing is actually making them, so tonight, whenever they get back and reevaluate the day's events, they're going to be pondering our conversation. What they take from it is their own. But
yeah, absolutely, completely, and that's what our jobs are, is to work with one another. I mean, Kyla, recently you and I have been working a lot. I think we have on helping each other stay into a certain stage, because sometimes it's just a lot, you know, and keep moving forward and keep encouraging that and looking at a different, you know, there is the funny part of, because, you know, and I'm going to speak for women. Remember, there was a movie a long time ago, He's Just Not That Into You. Same kind of thing where women are like, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. You know what I mean? It's trying to take that, but actually mean everything is going to be okay. And that's an interesting way of balance. Hi, Bobby. Welcome. So we said Bobby was coming in. Is it hard for you on your path to keep your path when other people may say, no, that's the wrong thing to do, or do you not encounter that at all?
I don't think I've encountered much of it in my life. More of like different external factors that are maybe conflicting with my path, but I wouldn't say that there are specific people who are like actively against me. I don't encounter people who are actively against me, and I don't interact with people who are actively against me. But then it's just a matter of.
But those external factors, when those external factors make you question yourself and your path, how do you bring yourself back to alignment?
Meditation. Usually, I just got to sit with it. I just got to sit and think.
And connect.
And connect. Sit and think and connect. And then you'll find your way back to your path.
I would like to say that Bobby is how old?
I'm 20.
Okay. So different generation.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Totally different generation than us. And I think that generation is a lot more open to everything. And a lot more acceptable and a lot more just.
I completely agree. They do have a more openness about them, and so it doesn't seem like it, or maybe it's because we're at our age right now and they're at theirs and we're viewing it from a different perspective. But I think Bobby said something really pertinent in that, is if you are starting to question it, go back to source. Your path is between you and divine, whatever you want to call that. So you and source. When there's confusion, that's not of divine on any path. So going back and meditating, sitting, grounding, and feeling what's right.
I always have to tell Aaron all the time, and I have to separate myself from mom to another influence to say, you are the only one that can do for you. You're the only one who can make the correct decision for yourself.
Absolutely.
I say that as a woman to you. Now, as your mother, of course, there's a line of things that I want you to do, but is that your path? No, that's my idea of what I would love to see for you. So if that is what you want, great, then we're thinking alike. If not, you have to do it for yourself. We're here. You can talk. You can, express physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever. It's you have to do.
So I'm a certified spiritual counselor, as you all know, and so some of the sessions that I do, yes, the readings are intuitive and we're working on transmutation, but there are the people that come in and they're looking for growth. They're looking, where is my path leading? And mine is not to tell them where they're leading to. Mine, again, my job is to help them validate what they already know and help them to ignite that spark within.
And that's just like, that's what your store is. That is what Olde Magick Ways is. It's not the store's job to say, okay, you need to do this, and this on this particular path. It's not our job to say, okay, you need to be on this path. it's our job to make sure that we have the resources available for whatever, regardless
Absolutely.
of what path you are on. We have something here at Olde Magick Ways to help you.
And I think that's the part, obviously, that I sometimes, we're talking about when we're doing our path, and, you know, when people think of you, and when we get people that come in and they just assume they know what this shop is, and they immediately turn around and run, and they'll tell me, well, you need Jesus. Well, I know where he is. He's here inside me. So where is he for you? If you're...
Yeah, but a lot of them are looking at the archangels.
Yes, when they first come in, they see St. Michael, and they're like, you need Jesus. I don't understand. I'm like, we got it here. You know, but and those do sometimes. Now, I've learned to kind of laugh it off. And when I say laugh it off, it's for me, laugh off that energy. And then it's about saying a prayer for them. Again, it's about showing compassion even to our enemies. And that's something that we were just talking about the other day. And that's really hard to do. Because, again, when we're angry, when we have hate within our heart, we're only binding ourselves. Okay, so showing compassion to those who have done us wrong. And some of those wrongdoings are deep trauma. Okay, trying to break through that and live in that is a very difficult thing to do.
Well, what people need to realize is if you self-evaluate and you pull yourself out of the situation, so there wouldn't be self-evaluating, but you pull yourself out and you look at what's being said. You look at the different spiritual texts. All of them pretty much say the same thing, but have different names.
Yes.
They all have the same end goal. 90% have the same end goal. So why does it really matter what words we're using as long as we're all striving for the same end goal?
Because I think it goes back to ultimately, you know, let's talk about the beginning of Christianity 2,021 years ago, that it really has become that main push. And especially, I'm going to say, especially here in America, but let's just talk about it on that side. That was the predominant religion. And for me, you know, as I started going into this path, I kind of struggled with what I learned and what had been ingrained in me as a child to being able to, and still there are times that I have to be like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, it's okay that I still speak of Jesus and I pray to Mary. It's just because I'm not per se Christian, quote unquote, and the reason I say it is Christianity is monotheistic. And for me to respect that tradition, I can't classify myself in that because I am polytheistic. I believe in different deities. But I still utilize some of the principal beliefs. I still have the connection. You know what I'm going with that?
Yeah.
So it's just a really...
There's a base,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody has it. Or as far as me saying, I was raised Catholic. That's not how I live my life today, but I always go back to that at certain points and have picked up so many different spiritual things that it all makes sense for me. Just like it has a different meaning for you, it has a different meaning for everybody. It's how, hey, the way I look at it, as long as you're spiritual, who cares?
But what was the spiritual consciousness 2,050 years ago? Or prior to whatever belief that you believe in, prior to it being written down and taught, what was the spiritual consciousness then?
Right, exactly.
Because, I mean, if we're talking like Christianity, before they wrote the Bible, they didn't have it. What did they go by?
Absolutely, their connection with Source. You know, Sinai, you guys know Sinai are a blended family. So our youngest son came home from his dad, and he said, Mama, Si, I'm confused. When I go to Dad's, he says we go to heaven. But when we're at home, we talk about past lives. Where do we go? And our answer was, Bug, I don't know. I can tell you, I try every day to be a better person than I was yesterday, help my community, love, and above all, believe in a higher power. And that will lead me to wherever I'm meant to go. Instead of having that fear, have that faith.
Right. And that, until, I mean, of course, we're not going to know until it happens to us, but if you, as long as you believe that there is something, yes, maybe we will all end up in one specific area. Maybe we are reborn. Maybe there's all these different things, but there should be a comfort to know that there's something.
Exactly. And, you know, I think it's even funny when I started in this path, I can tell you my father, raised Catholic, very Christian. He was like, he calls me sis. He's like, sis, I don't understand how you can be following all these gods and goddesses. And to me, they were different facets that were within myself, and it was lessons I needed to learn. And the funny thing is, and I was like, but Dad, I don't understand how you're into all this alien stuff. It doesn't make sense to me. Fast forward years later, a couple months ago, here I'm having a conversation with him about Pleiadians and Andromedans, and he's telling me about the Norse and the Egyptians. It's still, however, the message is going to go directly to you. Do you think my father, who was he was so, you know, this was what his belief is, and that's the only thing you're going to believe. But that older generation, they're focused on that. Well, there's got to be another way to get information to them. For my father, it was that way. For me, it was going through the gods and the goddesses. Claudia, did you have any questions?
Yeah, I've been listening to everybody, and I've been thinking about the topics, and we are talking about staying true to your path. My question is, should we stay true to your path, or should the path be true to you?
Yes. To both of them. Honestly, I think it needs to. If it's not true to me, and I'm not being true to it, then there's not a path there to begin with. It's really staying true to yourself.
And what is the concept of like making that decision with the best intent, and once you've gotten there, realize, oh, I do need to veer because this didn't really work out, but I still had the good intent in my heart and in my mind, but it was wrong. And
that's like one of those questions of, did the chicken or the egg come first? You know what I mean? Really, it's that same kind of concept, because no matter what path you take, it's going to lead you to exactly where you need to be led to, whether it be a lesson or whether it be an experience.
Thing, just making sure you do.
You're moving. Absolutely.
Take the step.
What do you think?
What you already said. If the path's not true to you, or you're not staying true to the path, was there really a path to begin with? Or were you following in somebody else's footsteps that put the path in front of you? That's where you got to think about that and reevaluate the situation.
It's like charting your own territory, utilizing the tools that are around you to follow it. Now, if you knowingly, I'm walking this way, but you know what? I don't feel like it today. I'm going to go right. Then are you staying true to it? I don't know, but in the same token, if that's where it's leading you for whatever reason, you're supposed to have another experience.
But to go in deeper to what you're saying, if we're on a cruise ship and we're going from point A to point B, but in the middle there's a hurricane, and he takes a deviation around it, he goes off the course, off a path, but yet ends at the same destination. Did he really go off the path?
That goes back to the journey is the destination. That's true. It's the journey that's the part. The destination. Sarah, go ahead, Claudia.
Yeah, but it also it makes you realize that the path, or it's not something fixed. It's not something rigid. It is an energy being that changes with you. So I think that's a beauty of that is if you feel wherever your life path is leading you, know that it will change and grow and modify as you step on life, and which gives you the freedom and the breathing space to always bring into your life the grandness and the newest and the unexpected, doesn't it?
Absolutely, 100%. You know, and that's, I think, the beauty of the whole thing. You know, everybody's looking for an end goal, but if you're looking only at that end goal, you're missing all of these steps. And everywhere we're meant to be, we show up and we're there. Unless you just stay put and not do anything.
So then how do you learn?
Absolutely.
Anything? You have no experience and you learn nothing. And that's the point.
Have you ever experienced where you're like, finally, I have found my path. I am on it, because we're losing it. And then all of a sudden, something comes in out of left field, and you're like, well, I was going this way. Wait a minute, this contradicts that. Have you all had that? Yes.
Yes.
How do you move through that? How do you navigate those waters?
Go with your gut.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Follow your gut. What makes you happy? That's what makes you happy. That's what I've been following is, and if it's wrong, I mean, who's to say it's wrong? I have no idea. I can't see into the future. I'm just going to be happy now. And as you said before, it's okay if things change.
Absolutely. I think my husband will tell you, I can kind of, not anymore, he's now used to it, but I remember in the very beginning of my path, Diana was the goddess that showed up. And I was like, yes, I have found my path. And we got myself a statue, and I had the perfect everything that I needed. I was into the studies. And the day we got the statue was the last day she was there. And then all of a sudden, Freya popped in. And now, every time, and like I say to him, I've got it. How could I not have thought this was my path every single time? But what it's doing is it's allowing me to go deeper and have a deeper understanding for myself, for what my job is in humanity, and ultimately how to, to continue moving and rising.
Well, if you take a child that is in grammar school and you try to teach it calculus, you're going to blow that kid's mind.
Right.
You got to teach him 1 + 1 = 2. So there's a baseline that everyone starts at and grows from.
Where you take with it,
Yeah.
or learn from it.
You can't understand college if you're in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about learning, but that's the part I love.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions?
No, I was thinking of what you are just talking about, and I'm thinking of every time that I have put out a statement about who I am or what I believe or what my path is, the universe has always found a way to prove me right or wrong. Like if I said, oh, I believe in ghosts, and then I never see a ghost, I start doubting, is that true or is that not true? Or this should be my path, and then something comes your way and it's pretty much like the life asks you, are you sure about what you're saying? And then I love that of life. And of course, at the moment when that universe is reflecting your doubts, your beliefs, or whatever is it that you put out there, and is the mirror that you look about yourself, sometimes you don't like what you see.
Absolutely.
But then you just walk through it, and then it dissolves and you become what it was. I don't know if I make myself clear.
Absolutely. And, it's again, when things get hard and you're not liking what you're seeing, again, it's having faith over fear. faith that you will be moving in that right direction, and that the divine source has the knowledge, or we have that wisdom within, and they're connecting with us, and we're connecting with source. We're one and the same. So we're moving forward where it has to. Again, it's that faith over fear side.
Or what's your sign when it gets difficult?
Well, and I will even say for me, and this is bringing in the personal side of it, over the last couple months, last month really, Hindu side has come up. What she was talking about with Krishna, I'm going to tell you, I'm just reading that text. And I just said to Kala the other day, oh my gosh, I need you to take a look at this. This is amazing. This fits me more than anything. Like, it's really kind of funny. But all of a sudden, I looked at a post that Claudia tagged me in, and I'm like, you got to be kidding. Here's another one. I mean, it's just the synchronicities. And it goes back to what you were saying, Claudia, is that the universe really puts those things in your path so you do get to learn from it. And then again, if you haven't, it's going to come back.
Absolutely.
In a different way, maybe. I mean, even when, in the beginning, again, for me, or when I started my path with Morrigan, at first she came around and I was like, oh, no, I'm afraid of you. You're going to show me my fears. Well, funny, I didn't say it quite like that, but, all of a sudden Morgan Le Fay comes in. I'm like, I like her. She's easy. Now, are they the same? No, but there is a connection somewhere. Even if it's a misconnection, there is still a connection. And then all of a sudden I got comfortable there, and then she came and she taught me about sovereignty. And yes, she showed me my fears, but guess what? Now I'm released from those.
Right.
So it's about, I had to learn that lesson. Took a little bit longer, but I still learned that lesson.
Sai and Ivy, well, we're getting to the end of today's show, but people can continue this kind of conversations with you. Can you let us know how can we reach you? Where can we go? How can we keep the conversation going?
We are very open. There's a couple of different things. You can reach us by phone, which is area code 843-314-0045. On our Facebook page, it is Olde Magick Ways, Old with an E, Magic with a K, Ways. Click the links in here, and it'll take you to it. We also have a website that's in the process of being completed, and that's oldemagicways.com. But I'd offer intuitive development work and readings. So we do those virtually. And if there's ever a time that you just want to have a shopping experience, or you want to just have a conversation, you'd like video to video, we'll send you a Zoom link and we can talk. We don't ever want anyone to feel like they're left on their own to navigate. And so we're there just to kind of help in any way we can. Again, we tell people if something we say that doesn't resonate, throw it away or put it in the book. But we, ultimately we're on this path together, but separately.
Thank you. Is there anything else that maybe your guests want to say before we say goodbye? I'm going to say this at the end. Make sure when you're walking your path that you stay true to you, that the path you're walking is because it resonates with your soul and your core of your being, not your husbands, wives, sisters, brothers, children, grandparents, friends, but with you. Because if you're walking somebody else's path, you're never going to truly be your own. So continue to have faith over fear. Continue to walk in the direction that you feel is right for you. And above all, never give up. And we want to thank everybody. Kala, thank you. Bobby, thank you. Colleen, of course, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Sai, I'm not going to say thank you because we do this. No, I'm just teasing. But if we can help in any way, please don't ever hesitate to reach out. Thank you. And remember that they're coming back in October 15 with another great topic. And thank you, everybody, for being here. think that will be all about death and rebirth. It'll be the right time for it, and all about being able to embrace those things when they leave. So from all of us, many blessings.
Thank you.